story that we've been tracking over the last few hours. You remember that yesterday, while giving his annual Gudi Padwa speech, Raj Thackeray had flagged off on stage what he'd called a mysterious dargah coming up in the Arabian Sea of Mahim. Now, I'd like to confirm to you that authorities have not given any confirmation as of now as to whether or not that was actually a dargah or not. He had said, is this another Haji Ali Dargah? But there is no confirmation on whether or not that actually is a dargah. Sources say, however, that most of the structure has been demolished. Action was taken on it in the last hour itself. Right now, the work of removing the debris itself is on. Let's go over to my colleague Yasha to get more context. Yasha, you've been with us since earlier this morning, bringing us reports on the story, and there's been much speculation on just how quick the turnaround has been. Raj Thackeray first mentioned this yesterday on his speech on stage, and a few hours later we're seeing police and officials take action on this. Now, before you describe the action itself, Yasha, can you describe the structure to us? Because some are calling it a dargah. However, you were pointing out that there wasn't confirmation that this structure itself was even a dargah at all.
So the structure that we talk about was right here behind me, that we talk about right now. Our officials have confirmed that most of the structure has been demolished, and like you can see, the BMC vehicles are right here behind me. The 6-member team which was formed by the collector is right here inside, and right now the work is still on. Most of the structure has been demolished, and what they're now doing is the debris would be brought out from here so that the disposal of those debris can take place. Now we talk about the structure. This was in fact an island kind of a structure in Mahim Bay, very close to Mahim Dargah. What you see, this is the Mahim police station. Right next to it is Mahim Dargah, and Mahim Dargah in fact holds a special place for the Mahim police, because during the annual Urs is where senior officers from Mahim police station go and pay tributes at this particular Mahim Dargah. Now, this structure that we talk about was not linked to Mahim Dargah, but was in the bay. It was a small island kind of a structure which had where people used to pray. That kind of a structure was there inside Mahim Bay. A dargah kind of a structure, like a proper full-fledged dargah kind of a structure that is there in Mahim Dargah was not something that we see. It was a small bay, a small island kind of a structure where we see that there was wherein people would pray. And like we saw that Raj Thackeray yesterday in his speech, in the last part of his speech, had in fact mentioned that it could be made into a bigger dargah, which is why it given an ultimatum to the government, state government right here to demolish this. But like you've said, the turnaround has been really quick. What we saw was yesterday, considering it was Gudi Padwa, it was a public holiday, but this morning, early this morning, these teams were formed, 6-member team, and they were right here early in the morning. Like you also see, there's a tight police bandobast out here, and no one is allowed to step inside because the officials are right there inside at their work.
Okay,
so
but
there's been a
yes,
quick
I just want to
turnaround.
clarify from
in fact,
you though, you are pointing out that this structure is not in any way linked to the Mahim Dargah itself. Is that correct? If so, why is it then being branded as part of the dargah? Isn't that misinformation?
Rightly, this structure is not a part of Mahim Dargah. What we see is Mahim Dargah is towards the other end, and this in itself was an island in Mahim Bay, a little away from Mahim Dargah. So this is not a part of the structure, which is why the officials have been calling it an illegal structure. And like we see, according to the laws under the BMC and the Mumbai Mumbai's laws, an illegal structure cannot be put in place without the permission of the authorities. The relevant authorities here would be the collector, the BMC in that place, and which is where the structure was being called an illegal structure, and that's where the demolition has taken place. So rightly, right now, there's been no word from the officials, that is the officials when we speak about, when be the collector or be the BMC, there's been no statement that's coming, just one letter that is out about the teams that have been formed. So they've not called it a dargah, but they've called it an illegal structure, and which is where we see that the process was being carried out. What we need to do is actually in fact wait for the officials to come out, if they at all speak about it, as to what do they term this particular structure as. But right now the work is right there inside, and as we know from our sources, that most of the structure has been demolished. Only the part of removing the debris is remaining. Apart from that, now that this team is inside, they would in fact inspect and understand as to how this particular structure was formed, why it was formed, since when it's been there. Approximately 1 to 2 years is what we understand. Around about 2.5 years is what we understand since when the structure was right here in place. But apart from that, what really needs to be understood is that how this structure was formed and why. In his speech yesterday, Raj Thackeray said that it could be made into a bigger dargah. Like you rightly mentioned, this was not a part of the Mahim Dargah Trust.
Yes, sure. That's such an important clarification. Thank you for bringing us that information. We're going to move on right